pardon the mess. Okay, so here's where we are on the transmission, the rear housing anyway. The first thing I had to do is pull the striker rod out because there's a seal that goes up that fits inside this steel piece here, and you have to get all this apart to do that. So the way I figured out to do that is right in here. Let me get the light on. There's this nut you have to loosen, which I did. You see it? Yeah. And there's like a wedge-shaped drift in here. There's no head on it. It just pulls it and tightens up with a wedge. It was really in there hard. So what I did was, after loosening that nut, I backed it off all the way to the edge of the threads there. Then rotated this pin that way. Then, as you can see, there's a hole right here, which is where the anti-balk mechanism goes. I put a backup block back here to take the stress off this back piece, and I just use a drift and went in just like this, bang, and knocked that bolt right through this hole here. And that jarred this loose. I could pull out that pin. The striker lever comes off. The striker rod then can go back. After it goes back a bit, let me go right over here. You just kind of bang that rod up. It'll knock this little plate right clean out. Whole thing comes out, and then you can put the new seal, which fits right up in here in this cast iron piece. So I'll put the new seal in. While I had it out, there's a new O-ring that goes right, well, you can't see it, but there's an O-ring that fits over the top of this too and sits right about there to seal the outside leak. So oil can't leak out because of the O-ring on the outside, and oil can't leak on the inside of the shift because of the seal. So that took care of that. So, but anyway, that was the tough part, was getting that striker rod out. And as you can see, you got a great shot at it right there. And that's the trick to getting that out. Put a new seal on the back. Here's the old seal. I mean, it's not really all that bad. It's a little stiff. Probably didn't need to replace, but you know, it's cheap and easy to get at, so we'll do that when we can. Put a new O-ring on the speedo assembly. There's a seal inside here that I'm probably get around to. I don't know if I'm going to do it or not. Gotta knock this little drift pin out. This gear comes out, and there's a seal inside there. I'm kind of on the fence about messing with that. Here's the anti-balk thing. I'm sorry, that's not the anti-balk thing. That's the spring tensioner here. Here's the anti-balk thing. That O-ring was a little bit different size. I didn't know that, but fortunately, after I took the O-ring off, I realized it was the wrong size. But it was still pliable and soft and didn't break going on or off, so I assume it's all right. So that's a little problem. Here's the original O-ring that came off of the right in here, and as you can see, that thing snapped pretty easy. I don't know. There it goes. It just busts up. So I mean, that's a smoked O-ring. I think here's another one that came out. There's two O-rings. That was the one that was on the speedo gear here. So this one was on the speedo gear. This one was up in here. You got the internal seal for the rod itself and the back seal. So the only thing I got to do now, and I cleaned up all the inside, got it all cleaned up and scraped off all the old gasket material. I'm going to get some oil resistant gasket material, put that in here, spread that all around, let that set up a little bit, and I'll put the main gear housing back in. I'm not going to bother with those rear gears. I mean, I'm thinking about it. Yeah, they're a little bit chewed up, but who cares? I don't spend a whole bunch of time in reverse anyway. Hopefully not. And everything else looks so perfect and tight and well assembled that, not being a transmission guy, I didn't feel real comfortable to start tearing into it, because I have to remove at least one staked on nut and pull the reverse gear out. And I don't know, I may regret that later on, but you know, I'm kind of the mind, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Oh, the other thing I did was I put a new oil gutter. Let's see if I can show you that over here. That piece right there was missing. That goes through this main plate. It picks up oil off this gear that gets slung into there and diverts it right down to this little valley here, which, by the way, is what lubricates. Uh-oh, I got a little mess here, excuse me. Is what lubricates this thing. This is the other thing I'm going to talk about briefly. That spiral cut bushing material which the drive shaft runs on, and it feeds. There's an oil supply. I'll see if you can see that gutter there. I think you might be able to see it right there. There you go. See that? There's a long gutter down the side. That oil comes in there, feeds right into this area. So my guess is it's supposed to get a constant supply of oil from there. With that missing gutter on the front, it wasn't getting it, which might have helped allow it to get scored up a little bit. What I did to fix that was I just used some 1000 grit with some oil, machine oil, and took down the slight bit of scoring that was going on in there, cleaned it all out. So I don't think I need to replace that. I think that's all right. But that's it. So this piece goes back on. The way you do that is you rotate this over to the side, slip the whole thing on, and then you can rotate this back and it'll catch the dogs, the shift forks, and then you're good to go for the rear half. The front half I'm gonna have to wait till I get the seal for the front. Anyway, that's the progress we're making. Feeling pretty good about it. More later. Thanks.